Group 1, Discovering Nutrition, Chapter 5, Lipids, Not Just Fat. Dr. King, her 5 o'clock class to 7:30, Food and Nutrition, Section 2. I'm Taaj Bailey. My group members are Kians Banks, Jubriel Barnes, Ashlee Barnette, Chelsea Brown, and Shoniece Carroway. Introduction. Lipids, not just fat. The key learning objectives for this chapter. They consist of 5. The first one is differentiating between types of fatty acids. Secondly, we're going to explain how lipids are digested. Third, differentiate between VLDL, LDL, and HDL cholesterol. Fourth, suggest dietary fat selections for a healthy diet. Fifth, describe health problems associated with high-fat diet. What are lipids? Lipids are derived from the Greek word lipos, which means fat, a class of organic compounds that are fatty acids, derivatives insoluble in water but soluble in organic solvents. They include many natural oils, waxes, and steroids. Foods rich in lipids consist of egg yolk, butter, and lard. What are lipids continued? Lipids apply to triglycerides, phospholipids, and sterols. Triglycerides are the most abundant lipid. They're found in the body. Fat cells store triglycerides in adipose tissue. In foods we call triglycerides fats and oils. Fat, triglycerides, and oils are used interchangeably. Differentiate in between types of fatty acids. Fatty acids are compounds containing a long hydrocarbon chain with the carbon group at one end and the methyl group at the other end. As you can see, saturated fats have single bonds. Unsaturated fats have double bonds. Chain lengths. Food contains fatty acids with chain length of 4 to 24, and most of them have even number of carbons. As you can see, the short chain has lower than 6 carbons, the medium chain has 6 to 10 carbons, and the long chain has 12 or more carbons. Explaining how lipids are digested, absorbed, and transported into the body. As you can see, this model right here is labeled 1 through 4. Most lipids are broken down into smaller compounds for absorption. Absorption of lipids. Oil and water, emulsified oil and water. Micelles are lipid molecules that play a role in emulsification. Transport of lipids. To travel, lipids must be specially packaged into lipoprotein carriers. The roles of lipoproteins in lipid transport are on the right.
Now that we have covered objectives 1 and 2, the third objective is differentiate between VLD, DL, LDL, and HDL cholesterol. So we're asking the question, what is VLDL, LDL, and HDL? Well, LDL stands for low density lipoprotein. VLDL stands for very low density lipoprotein, and HDL is high density lipoprotein. Into depth, VLDL is made in the liver. It transports mainly triglycerides, some cholesterol, and phospholipids. Low density lipoproteins compose primarily of cholesterol. They circulate throughout the body. The body cells collect the lipids. From there, the lipids remove LDL from this circulation in the blood, often termed as bad cholesterol. Which brings us to our next one, which is high density lipoproteins. Now these lipoproteins transport cholesterol from the cells back to the liver for recycling, and this is often the term you call good cholesterol. On to the fourth objective, which is suggest dietary fat selections for a healthy diet. And the 4 major types of fats are trans fats, saturated fats, monounsaturated fats, and polyunsaturated fats. Now let's look at them in your trans fats. You have your fried food, Pre-mixed product packaging foods. In your saturated fats, you have your butter, red meat, and cheese. Now in monounsaturated fats, you have your avocados, nuts, natural peanuts, and butter. When trying to develop a healthier diet, the foods that you see here are good starters. For example, you can use natural peanut butter, which means it only contains salt and peanuts, instead of the conventional peanut butter that contains hydrogenated oils, sugar, salt, and other ingredients. Some monounsaturated fats, such as olive oil, are liquid at room temperature, but can become solid when it is in room temperature. Which brings us to the last one, which is our polyunsaturated fats. Now, polyunsaturated fats can be found mostly in nuts, seeds, fish, algae, and leafy greens. This type of fat also is a liquid at room temperature, but can become solid when it is in the refrigerator. One type of polyunsaturated fat is omega-3. This can be found in fatty fish, such as salmon. So, brings us to our next good unsaturated fats versus bad saturated fats. Snacks, chocolates, fried foods, fried chicken, and many other foods that are really good tasting but are bad for our bodies. We can substitute some of these foods with baked chicken, nuts for snacks, and when cooking, we can use olive oil or peanut oil. Now let's move on to our last objective. Describe health problems associated with high-fat diets.
So,
It's important.
heart disease. Heart disease is one of the principal types of cardiovascular disease. Claims on life every 90 seconds. 1 out of every 6 deaths in the United States are because of heart disease. Obesity is also an issue. It's an excessive accumulation of body fat leading to a body weight in relation to height that is substantially greater than accepted standard. More than 1/3 of the United States adults are considered obese. 17% of U.S. children and adolescents aged 2 to 19 years old are also obese. 1 in 4 adults in the United States have metabolic syndrome. Having metabolic syndrome is the greatest risk of death from having a heart attack. All contributing factors to metabolic syndrome are excess abdominal fat, high blood glucose, high serum triglycerides, low HDL cholesterol, high blood pressure. Cancer develops usually over time. It results from a complex mix of factors related to lifestyle, heredity, and environment. 30 to 40% of cancers are due to poor food choices and physical inactivity. High-fat diets are usually associated with the increase of risk of cancer.
This concludes our Chapter 5, Lipids, Not Just Fat. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.